Yes. Welcome to the Basketball Card Strategy Show, episode 5, with my man Gary from hoopsandcards.com and the Hoops and Cards Show. Gary, congratulations on Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland. I know this is a huge deal for you. And what a day to have the Basketball Card Strategy Show.
Right? Yeah, we were struggling with our agenda schedule of things to talk about, and the Cavs came through, man. They went all in. I mean, they paid a big price, but everybody's consensus is they won that deal, and Donovan seems to fit great, so I'm pumped.
I agree they won the deal, and for those of you just tuning in for the first time, I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com. He's Gary with Hoops and Cards. We do the Basketball Card Strategy Show most of the time together now. I'm very thankful to have Gary join me for the show, and welcome everybody. And like Gary said, yeah, we had this show planned out for today a couple weeks ago, and we were kind of struggling to come up with some topics because there's not a lot going on other than, us just trying to snipe some basketball card auctions this time of year. And all of a sudden, I messaged Gary on Instagram about our show topics for today. And he was like, well, yep, you just missed one thing, Donovan Mitchell to the Cavs. And I was like, what? Sure enough, breaking news. So, yes, I agree they won the deal. I've updated not only Donovan's player profile on NoOffSeason.com basketball card rankings, but I've also updated Colin Sexton's, Evan Mobley's, and Darius Garland's, and even Isaac Okoro's. So we could talk about all of that stuff. And I know you wrote a blog and published it right away at hoopsandcards.com on breaking news, Mitchell going to the Cavs. So there it is right there. Check out Gary's article at hoopsandcards.com. You'll see it on the homepage. And Gary, why don't you start by giving us your overall analysis of not only the deal, but just kind of your take on what this means for cards related to this trade.
Yeah, it's funny. I had just talked a little bit on one of our shows, and maybe with you too, about how we're in that August, not much is happening. The whole league is waiting for KD and Kyrie to do something. And then all of a sudden we get Chet Holmgren's injury. We get Durant is staying, if you believe that. And now we get a blockbuster not involving the Knicks. Like, I thought this was going to be Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks. And in that case, I mean, the card take on Donovan Mitchell would have been completely different. I like this deal from a basketball sense. There's a part of me that when you guys hear of a trade happening and breaking news, you will see immediate sales on eBay of Donovan Mitchell, Colin Sexton, just about everybody in that deal. You'll see new listings, and then you'll see sold items just happening. And I'm not crazy about rushing to buy or sell right now. I was looking into Donovan Mitchell prices yesterday after the trade, and Colin Sexton. And you've talked about it on your notes, even on that Donovan Mitchell page you updated. Like, there might be a little spike, right?
Yeah,
there might, and it may or may not be profitable from what you paid for those cards. I don't know. I just know it's big news, and it does affect those players moving forward. But do I see a lot of impact here on September 2nd for card values? No. Am I doing anything different? No. As a fan, am I like pulled? Do I want to go buy some Donovan Mitchell cards as a Cavs fan? Yes. The guys at Pack to the Future podcast are huge Utah fans, and so they've been lamenting the Donovan Mitchell thing, knowing that this was inevitable. I thought it would be
rebuild for Utah,
right?
Full rebuild.
Yeah, and they still have 4 or 5 players that they could trade and flip for more picks. So. Basketball wise, go ahead.
A lot of picks too. No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think I will chime in real quick though. There are so if you go to eBay and sort by new, you can go to the advanced search and you can finagle it so that you only see new listings. There are, for Donovan Mitchell cards, basically just Donovan Mitchell 2017 rookie cards.
Yep.
There are 4 full pages at 240 items per page of all new listings in the last 12 hours. So I did listings in the last 12 hours. There are I'll say it again, 240 times 4. So
wow,
a
lot of Utah fans.
1,000 new listings in the last 12 hours of Donovan of singles of Donovan Mitchell rookie cards. And so I think I'll chime in here, and then I'd love to know anyone in the comments. Let us know what you think. I updated Donovan Mitchell's profile at nooffseason.com, and if you're a premium subscriber, you'll see that I basically come out and say sell now, but sell quick. Now, because if you don't, you're gonna miss this a very small hype spike on this trade, and then they'll go back down again, like maybe even in the next like 2 or 3 days. So if you want to run like a real quick 2-day auction on this, that's what I would recommend, or just list as a buy it now. That might be even safer. Because then you can take some offers on the hype cycle, and then if you don't like the offers, then you just hold. But I think it's tricky because like a lot of Mitchell hasn't been relevant in a while, right? And so you've got a lot of people that have been holding Mitchell, and they want to sell him, and this is an opportunity to sell him. And for those people, I say go ahead, like sell him, because I don't know, other than the fact that this team really looks good on paper, and I'm really excited about this team on paper, and they could make a run. You and I both know, though, like in order for a guy like Donovan Mitchell's cards to sustain a long-term increase in value, he's going to have to perform at an extremely high level, and the Cavs are going to have to win. They're not only going to have to get into the playoffs, but they're going to have to win playoff series with Mitchell being like a catalyst in order for his cards to, because he's been in the league for what, 6 years now. So there's this is the hype around him, this trade. And this is, make no mistake, like this is the moment to sell his cards. Now, to your point, maybe not, depending on your situation. But if you're somebody that's been holding him, I think you sell. But I agree with you. Like, I don't think you buy at all. I think you like, there's no reason to buy any of these guys involved directly in this trade. And really, Sexton's the only other one that's even really, it's in the trade that's even really worth talking about. So
yeah, I agree with you. I like you using the phrase hype cycle. Because it does seem like anytime there's big breaking news, there's a day or 2, maybe 3 of it's all over the media. It is big news. It's a game changer. And people are buying and selling. I would think none of us are surprised that Donovan Mitchell got traded. If I was going to sell him, I would have listed, his cards 2 weeks ago on eBay to sell and just have it there at a price I would take. But you're right. It's worth trying. If you get people running out to buy in the next 24 hours. I like what you said too about the time to buy not being now, because in a month, nobody's going to care about Donovan Mitchell or about this trade. And more realities will settle in. Like, well, we don't really know how good the Cavs are. Like you said, there's not big playoff series coming up. I mean, we got 9 months, 10 months before anything relevant to his cards or to his career. The thing that's cool to watch, though, is going to be the attention on Cleveland, the attention on the Cavs as a legit contender. I'm a Cavs season ticket holder, at least a partial season ticket holder. And we got our tickets put in our account 7 days ago. And 2 days ago, I listed several games. These are just tickets to those games for sale. And they sold right after the Donovan Mitchell trade. And then I immediately went and pulled all the other ones off sale. I'm like, I want to go to more games now because I want this team gel together. I think it's going to take some time. As much as I think Donovan Mitchell is a better fit in Cleveland than Colin Sexton at the 2. And I think they did need a guy who can do all the things Donovan can. I hope we're getting like the bubble Donovan Mitchell, like the one that could go off for 40 or 50 in a big game. But you're right. He hasn't been relevant for a while. And
he's got the skills, he's got the talent. There's no doubt about it that he can be like a top 15 player
Yeah.
consistently in the league and be recognized as a top 15 player in the league. He's there. He just needs to do it. And maybe we've seen lackluster Donovan Mitchell in Utah because he hasn't wanted to be in Utah. And maybe now that he's in Cleveland, we'll see somebody who sports card investors will be happy that they held maybe through this. But we've got him. We had him as a buy and a hold for about the last 3 or 4 months. And now we've immediately flipped him to a sell. And I honestly think that's really the best we can do to be anticipating, like, at nooffseason.com, helping people make the play, helping people time the market and that kind of thing with a guy like Donovan Mitchell, because again, he's just been so stagnant for a while with his performance, and his relevance hasn't been there. But now, and with the trade rumors, of course, there's a little bit more relevance. So you make a good point there. But now you've got, like, I don't know, maybe 48 hours to crystallize or liquidate your investment on Mitchell before he just then he needs to perform on the court. So speaking of that, what does this do? I wanted to ask you, what does this do to our guys, Darius and Evan? What does it do to their card value? Because you and I have been high on, probably out of everybody in the hobby, I would say you and I are the highest on Darius Garland. We've got a lot invested in our reputation as content creators into the Darius Garland.
The next Steph Curry, baby. The next Steph Curry.
That's right. I said he was the next Steph Curry. So I'm still high on Darius. What do you think? Let's go one at a time. What do you think this does for Darius's card value potential and just overall investability into his cards?
One of the things we're going to talk about is who are you buying and who are you eyeing, and Darius Garland is both right now. The deals on his cards before this trade were at like prices from a year ago. Like it's crazy how quickly we forget what a great season a player has and what his cards were worth. I'd say the same about Ja Morant, but Darius Garland, what I think this does to his long-term future, I think it helps him. I think it means he's going to get playoff experience and be on a contending team and learn a lot from Donovan Mitchell. I don't see Donovan taking a lot of Darius's stats away or his scoring, because they're really the only two prolific scorers the Cavaliers have now. I mean, Jared Allen can get you 17 and 10, but Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland are pretty much it, and they're gonna fill it up. So I think it's gonna help Garland in the short term rather than hurt him. Okay,
we're totally in sync on that. That's what I wrote into Darius's profile as well. I updated that today, and I think this does more for Darius, his ceiling for sports card investors, because it does, like you said, it doesn't take anything away from him at all. I think they can be like a 1A, 1B. I don't think this moves Darius to the 2. I think he still has the star, not the 2 position, but the number 2 overall star on the team. I think he actually still has the star quality, as much star quality as Mitchell does, if not more, in terms of a ceiling. So I see them as a 1A, 1B, kind of interchangeable. And I see Darius as also now maybe someone that people move off of a little bit enough, because you've got Evan Mobley and Mitchell now there. Yeah. Maybe some people see him as the third option and don't invest in him. And now you've got people like us maybe able to scoop him up for even cheaper. So I think he's still a sleeper flyer, but a really, really good calculated one. That can come through. And so the only, we've talked about this with Darius before. You on your Instagram account posted a new pickup. He just doesn't have that many autos. He doesn't have as many investable cards. But the more that I think about that as a good thing for investing in Darius, because if there's only so many cards for a guy from their rookie year, because again, for those of you who don't know, he's Upper Deck exclusive autographs, and so there's just not that many Darius rookie autos or Darius autos in general that look good, because they're Upper Deck. So you've got the different Upper Deck brands, but you just purchased one. I'm curious, if you're able to share the details of that purchase and and what your plan is for that. Is it a PC thing? Is it something that you got maybe looking to flip? Are you going to grade it? I don't know, but yeah, I still like Darius, and I like the fact that you've got to kind of go with those obscure cards to invest in him, which makes it like there's going to be maybe one or two that end up being like the Darius card to have, which I think is a good thing when you're looking at all these different options for sports card investing.
Yeah. The Darius Garland, you can't find an autograph card of his for less than $150 right now. He does not sign with Panini. It's just been the Upper Deck or the Goodwin Champions cards, and he hits all three for me. Like, I'm a fan. He's PC, and I see him as a great investment. So it's hard. Like, when you ask me what's my intention with a card, the two autograph cards that I did get of his, one was from this year's Goodwin Champions, just the regular autograph card that he signs. It's not even numbered. He just signed it DG, and that was the card I got in a trade about 6 weeks ago at a card show. And then last week I got another one in a trade. I traded several. Basically, the only time I'm parting with a good Darius Garland card is when I'm getting a better one in return. So I was able to get one that's that was exclusively given out or sold in these packs at the National, a Darius Garland autograph card where it's like the ace of spades. That's probably the one you saw.
Yeah, that was the one I was talking about.
Yeah. And he signs D Garland, and then you can see it's like number 59 out of 75 written there in pen. And so that one I got in a trade. I want to keep that for a while. I like that it's, limited print or limited auto. But I almost traded it away like an hour later because there is his rookie Goodwin Champions card that's autographed that now is pushing past $1,000, especially the high grade ones. So that would be the one to get, Paul. If you're looking at 2019 Goodwin Champions Darius Garland auto, I'd be curious to know the print count. I don't. I should get Dirk Nash on that or something, because those are hard to get.
Yep. I had that one in an SGC 1010 and I sold it, and I'm okay with the sale, but I kind of wish I still had it. This is the only I'm going to show you. And for those of you who are listening, I'm showing Gary a 2020. So this is his rookie year was 2019, 2020. This is his rookie. It has the RC logo on it. It's a On the Horizon insert. I think it was a redemption, if I'm not mistaken. These On the Horizon are redemption inserts. I forget from what brand, but PSA 9. This card is my only Garland card right now, and so it's in my PWCC vault, and they have it insured for $350. Typically, the insurance value is significantly less. It's maybe like 75 to 80% of what it would sell for on the open market at any time. PSA pop 1 of 12, 4 graded higher. So curious to see what this one does during the season. But yeah, I mean, he just doesn't have. He's got the Goodwin Champions rookie auto, right? Mm-hmm. And then he's got obviously Prism base and Prism silver and the Prism variations. Kind of a cheesy photo. And then he's got this On the Horizon. There's some that I'm missing, but anyway, yeah, I think DG. I think our guy Darius Garland is going to be someone who continues to rise in value. So we're sticking with the call. The call. Now, Mobley is a guy who's been a hyped rookie. His card sales have been really, really impressive ever since his pro releases came out. So much so that I even submitted a couple base Donruss rated rookies in at the $18 a card level to PSA in July, because, even though that's like a $1 card raw, the PSA 10s of those they were selling for over $100 even in the summer. So where do you see Mobley now overall as a sports card investment with Mitchell and Garland in the backcourt and Jared Allen with him in the front court?
I already think, his ceiling is the sky's the limit for Evan as far as the kind of player he can be. I have not, I'm a Cavs fan saying this. I have not been buying Evan Mobley rookies, and some of that's because of the strange price, but some of it's the strange release times of all of these, and feeling like it's sort of anticlimactic. I've been buying rookies from this year's rookie class. I've been buying rookies that I find raw, that look gradable, that are usually cheaper, and are like they're a parallel, like a Donruss green yellow laser hollow of Jalen Green, or an orange laser hollow of Evan Mobley. Those I can get really cheap. When I buy in person in Cleveland, people have already marked Evan Mobley's cards way up high, and I just think it's going to be a while before he's a dominant force offensively. Defensively, he already is, but offensively, it's going to be a while. So I'm not in a rush to buy any of his cards. Maybe I should be. Like, maybe I'm missing out on some numbered rookie autos that I should be. Those will be cards I will probably personally target in trade ups and not in spending cash. And I should even add too, with Garland being a buy or getting deals on Mobley, I'm seeing better prices obviously than I did in May on most of that stuff. And even at that price, whatever it is, eBay or in person, I make an offer. Like you can make an offer 60 or 70% of what they're asking. Like it is a buyer's market. So take advantage of that. I'd be curious what Mobleys you have or you would recommend, because I'm kind of waiting on him.
Yeah, I don't have any Mobleys just because of price. Like it's been ever since that whole rookie class 2021, 2022. I'm huge on the class in general, but I was really selective with the singles that I bought, and I faded Cade, I faded Mobley, I've faded Giddey, and Jalen Green, and even Scotty Barnes. Like I've really only bought Cam Thomas and Bones Highland. I picked up a Bones Highland NTRPA out of maybe 49. I got a really good deal on that. Shout out to Texas Roadshow Cards. Chase Krim hit me up and said, it's like, I know you like Bones. I got this Bones RPA, NTRPA. This is my first NTRPA.
Nice.
And let's see.
Nuggets uniform?
Yeah, it's it's going to be in my vault soon. Let me bring up a picture of it here for you guys. And this can segue us into who you're buying and who you're eyeing, because I'm really excited to talk to Gary about that. But this is, so this Bones on card NTRPA out of 49 is a pretty sick card. I got it for, I think, $95 all in, shipped and everything. So the only, I think I got a Steve. I know Chase likes to hook me up with deals, so I really appreciate when he does that. I think it's like $120, maybe $135 was the last sale of this exact card. So I got it for $95. So it's a heck of a deal. Greeny Green says nice. I think he's talking about this card. He might be talking about Redneck Day Trader's question, which we'll get to in a second. But really the deal from Chase was the main reason why I pulled trigger on this card, because I think that there's a lot of room for this to go up. But back to, with Mobley's stuff, everything I've seen has just been so expensive that I haven't really wanted to invest yet. And I don't really know what to do. The big move I did make was I bought a first off the line Contenders sealed hobby box just to be in on the class itself. So that's been sitting in my vault. Okay, Gary, let's answer Redneck Day Trader's question about this Garland card before you tell us who you're buying and who you're eyeing. He says, what about Garland's 2019 certified mirror red color match and a gorgeous card that's low pop ? I think, do you know about this card? I don't, so I'd have to research it.
I was going to look it up. I was going to also ask if it's graded. That's another thing that's huge in my decision-making lately. Just to lock in what the card's condition is gives you so much, especially some of these lower number that are going to be higher in price.
I mean, grading is always a good, obviously, I think if you think it's going to grade high, it's always a good way to add scarcity to a card, and make it stand out a bit from other cards. So that's been my strategy for when I grade base cards and non-autos and stuff like that. I'm looking this up right now, Redneck Day Trader, just to give some reference here. So Panini certified Darius Garland. The first one that pops up is actually a CSG 10 in the eBay search. So let's see.
GMA 10.
Oh, GMA.
GMA,
No, that's
yeah.
GMA. That's a bogus grading company, everyone. Don't fall for it. Don't buy this card. If it was CSG, I would say yeah, because it looks like they're copying the CSG slab. Wow, that's ballsy. But this is the card, nevertheless. It is a gorgeous card, I will agree. It is the cheesy photo, though, that's on Prism also. It's just not zoomed in like the Prism photo. I think it's the same photo. I think this could be a good find. I mean, I'd have to do a little bit more research. This is a little bit off the cuff. I appreciate the question, but I think this could be a good find. My only hesitation here is this kind of follows a theme that Kendall and I talk about on the Sports Card Strategy show a lot. And when Kendall and I just chat in general offline, basically we say whenever there's a card where you have to kind of educate the buyer about the card, it's probably not investable. And so Redneck Day Trader, while this is a nice color match, I don't love the brand certified at all. And I don't see this card as someone who, like, Gary and I have researched a lot of Darius Garland cards. Neither one of us knew about this card. And then even when we searched it, it was the first time we had seen it. So that tells me that this probably isn't an investable card. It's probably a decent PC card if you like it. Gary, do you think I'm off about this? But that's just my initial take on this question.
You're spot on, Paul. I was wondering if Redneck Day Trader, if you're asking because you already have this card and you want to know if it's a good one to hang on to, or if you're looking to purchase it. It's not numbered. Paul's right. It's not a brand that people are searching for, so it's going to be harder to resell. And there are other options. If you're looking for a color match, I mean, even just the Prism Ruby Red Wave looks more like the Cavaliers wine color. That's an awesome looking match. But still the same cheesy picture. You're right. That's one of the reasons I like Court Kings, because they have like 5 or 6 different, editions. They're just more creative with it. So yeah, but I'm not crazy about the certified either, Paul.
Yeah. So cool. So we're on the same page there. Thanks, Redneck Day Trader, for the question, and hopefully that helps. And we really appreciate you watching and commenting. Now, so Greeny Green was talking about the bones. So this is what I'm buying. This is really the only basketball card that I've purchased recently. And he says I was talking about the bones, and then he likes it, but then he says I worry about the future value of non-game worn patches. How do you guys feel about that? Okay, so I've heard this from other content creators, and I understand where they're coming from. I just don't know what the other option is, because like if everything is player worn and not guaranteed game worn, then I think what that could do is it can increase the value of like legacy stuff that is game worn. Because of the awareness of people like Greeny Green saying like, hey, this isn't game worn. But I don't know that it negatively affects the value of future stuff, because if everything is not game worn, then how does that, if that's the only option, then and you're going to the store and like you like Honey Nut Cheerios and they decide, like Post cereal decides to only make Honey Nut Cheerios. Like, I don't know if all cereal being Honey Nut Cheerios affects the value of Honey Nut Cheerios. Like, so I don't know. And that's kind of a weird, like, if you still like Honey Nut Cheerios, you're going to buy it. You could be right, Greeny Green. Like if you believe that if you are worried about the value, you could be right, but there is no Now, okay, an interesting thing would be, would you rather have a Bones NT on card auto out of 49 without the patch? Gary, what do you think about this?
Well, I hear the question is when I get or I see a patch card where Panini has that awkward sentence, the enclosed material is not associated with any player, game, or anything.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen that. That is the weirdest sentence in the history of sports. But it's like, yeah, that's a turnoff, or it's at least not as cool as saying, yes, this is game worn by LeBron James on blah blah blah. Like there is something where as a buyer, I want something that's more authentic, or that's not just they went to Dick's Sporting Goods and bought some jersey, cut it up. And there's stories and conspiracy theories out there about this, Paul. So like, I it's cool to have any patch in a card, but if I'm going to buy one, if I'm going to invest, especially when we get to these higher priced cards like National Treasures, I'd rather have something that right. And at the same time,
and
go ahead.
And I guess like I kind of talked and didn't really give my punchline, and I think that you made a good point. My final like determining factor would be, does the patch negatively affect the design and aesthetic of the card? And to me, I would be less concerned with whether or not it's game worn because again, I'm buying cards to flip the card. So I'm almost like a buyer for a retail store, like, and like a retail chain where I'm that's how I'm thinking. I'm thinking like, what's the market for this? Is somebody going to buy it, kind of a thing? And so like when I looked at this particular Bones card, I wasn't thrilled with the patch, because the patch doesn't really do anything for me, but the card still looks nice. Like it's a cool signature. It's a great photo. You can clearly see the Auto 49 National Treasures RC logo. So I think that like Greeny Green makes a great point. I think, but I would be more concerned if the patch itself negatively impacts the aesthetic of the card, which I have seen patches where you're like, oh God, that's just like, why is that patch on there? I'd rather just have a Contenders auto with no patch. So I think we're kind of on the same page with this. Like it's up for discussion for sure, but I don't know that but I will say I'm not going to be a guy that's like, oh, I'm not interested in that because it's not game worn. Again, because like nothing's game worn anymore. Like the only thing game worn is going to be the stuff that is going to go for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's going to be for one of the star guys out of NT or out of Immaculate or something like that. It's going to be a case hit, which I can't really afford anyway. So
right.
We're talking about trying to turn $100 into 200. I'm okay with a regular like non-game worn patch.
And I should clarify, like non-game worn, I would still buy those. I would just, if I had to choose between one or the other, right? And I've got $50 or $100 and they're both sitting there, I would buy the game worn one. That's all I'm saying. I think
yeah, for sure. I think I'm with you on that. All right. So let's get into let's start with who are you eyeing?
Wait, eyeing?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm eyeing PSA 10s of guys that, like you just said, I can buy at 100 and sell for 200. Or more like with these guys, buy at 200 and sell at 400. And in my case, where I've spent so much in the last 6 to 8 weeks on cards that I'm like, maybe I can trade to get that $200 card and then flip it for $4. But I'm looking at Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards. Those are my two.
Nice.
As of right now. Or LeBron James numbered cards from premium issues like National Treasures, but Ja and Ant, especially, I see a good deal in either of their cards that are PSA 10 base even. There's some great flip opportunities. PSA 10 red, white, and blue. Great buys right now, actually, on those. And the greens. Raw, like I've had several cards raw that I think, man, I should have bought that card, or I should have traded for that Anthony Edwards pink cracked ice. I'm just saying prisms right now because that's what I've seen. Speaking of color matches, by the way, one of the PSA 10s I'm like trying to level up into is the PSA 10 Ja Morant Optic Blue Velocity. It looks like it was just made for Memphis Grizzlies fans. It's a
That
gorgeous
sounds
card,
sick.
but the
I can
PSA 10 is
visualize
like,
it.
yeah, the 10 is like, I want to say 400. Maybe it's a little under 400 right now. If you're getting there, but the PSA 10 Ja Morant Optic Blue, those are the ones I'm eyeing, Paul. I'm trying to eye cards that I have boxes and boxes of prospects. I need to look at the next level. I need to look at graded cards of guys that I think are going to take off and are already popular. So that's why Ja, and there you got some up there.
Yeah, you're right. It's right at about 400, 425.
Yeah.
There's one at 425, one at 400 right below it. Just
Awesome.
under 400 right below it. And it is a sick looking card. I love the thought process of, okay, this isn't a base card. It's close, but it's a variation and it's still affordable, achievable. And so you think, so this is an example of one that you think is going to go up. And like, when would you like, so you're looking to buy these now and it's September 2nd. When would you be looking, what would be your plan to flip this? When would you look to list it?
Yeah, good question. The reason I have a sense of urgency about these two is in the hype and lead up to the next NBA season, which I think it may even just like for cards, I think may start when the season starts or shortly after, because right now it's still all about the NFL. You would know this too better than me because you major on all the sports. But like when people start to turn their attention and their investing to basketball, these will be two of the first guys they will be looking at as well.
That's a good point.
And
I love Anthony Edwards and Ja Morant. Those are two. I think I love that you're super focused on them right now, and you're going into, okay, what variations of and I like that you're going, okay, PSA 10, these two guys, let's see what I can get.
It's my goal for the month, Paul. September is Anthony Edwards PSA 10 month. So that's my goal by the end of this month, to have a PSA 10 that I will love for about 6 weeks and then flip it. The reason I like those guys better than, say, LaMelo or Cade Cunningham or any of this year's rookies is because these two already have playoff experience and they're going to get more.
Oh, love that. Yeah.
I can't tell you when Cade Cunningham will ever be in the playoffs. I can't. But these guys,
unfortunately, I agree with you.
These guys, none of us would be surprised if Anthony Edwards is an all-star this season, right?
Yeah.
He probably should have been one last year. None of us would be surprised if Ja Morant is an MVP candidate. So, but we would be foolish, I think, to wait until January or February to start buying those guys. I think it's now or you're missing
it's
out.
now or maybe December, right? Because I remember and you're more experienced than me at buying basketball cards over the last several seasons, but I remember last season, there was a huge dip in like everybody. Trey Young, I mean, just December, specifically December, Trey Young, Ja Morant. And then there was Ja started to put up some huge games after the turn of the year, and his prices came back up again, even for his base stuff. But now and you've been the most outspoken on like this being basketball card buying season. So great tip, great time to have you on and say, okay, so Gary from Hoops and Cards, everybody says PSA 10s of Anthony Edwards and Ja Morant now. And I love that you just coined September Anthony Edwards PSA 10 month.
That's my goal this month. Unless I get a good deal on that Darius Garland Goodwin Champions rookie auto. But yeah, I like the Anthony.
Yeah.
The other thing, guys, the reason he stands out, or those guys stand out to me, is maybe this is I love seeing guys that can do it all. I don't see Trey Young driving to the lane and rising up and dunking over three other guys. Ja Morant does that every night.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards does that every night. I can't even remember seeing a LaMelo Ball slam dunk highlight. It doesn't happen. But these, you know what I'm saying? These are the guys. And so you asked me who are the rookie sleepers or like second year sleepers?
Yeah.
I'm eyeing and this is I'll go with two guys, but I'm eyeing another player who does a lot of what I'm talking about. He can shoot 10 threes a game, or he can drive and dunk on anybody. And the veteran version is Anthony Simons. I think
Mhm.
he's going to get a lot more opportunities this season as a starter that they've committed to next to Lillard. And then the other guy who's like lesser known right now, and it remains to be seen what his ceiling is, but it's Trey Mann. I
Okay.
don't know if you've watched of Trey Mann or not, because I agree with you on Bones Highland and Cameron Thomas. But the more I watch of Trey Mann, and I did some yesterday, I was like, this guy is lights out shooter. He's quick. He's fast. He looks to me like a Darius Garland, but he's also the guy that can rise up and dunk on someone. And there were alley-oop highlights, and he's a short guard with crazy hair. So I'm looking at him because you can find his cards super cheap.
Okay. Great tip. No, Trey Mann has not been someone that I've been all over by any means. So that's a great tip for the audience. Love that. I know Kendall is a OKC guy, so he'll probably love the Trey Mann call.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about. So did we hit also who you're buying in this in this conversation as well, or because you said you were eyeing Edwards and Ja, which I take to mean that you're very strategic about pulling trigger on them. Is there anyone that you're just like smashing the buy it now button on, or going to card shows and just scooping up because you like, is there a differentiation between eyeing and buying for you, or are they kind of the same thing?
Well, I would say I'm eyeing cards at the next level for me. Like if I have a lot of cards that are in the $50 to $100 range, I'm eyeing those $200-$300 cards like the Ja Optic Blue and saying, how can I get there? What of my cards that are down here do I need to sell, flip, or do whatever so I can get this card? Because when I get this $300 card, it's going to be easier to flip it for $450. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And it's a cooler card to have. So I'm eyeing the level ups. I'm also eyeing Donovan Mitchell now just to see what happens with his cards and see if there's something I want to get as a Cavaliers fan. But buying, I would say I'm looking at premium cards like National Treasures, Immaculate, Impeccable, numbered cards of players that I like, maybe that we've already mentioned. So guys like Darius Garland. But for me, the guys I'm buying right now, I just got a Tyrese Maxey National Treasures numbered to 5, and it's an awesome looking card from this year. It's not even his rookie, but I'm thinking I paid $40 for a National Treasures Maxey numbered to 5, and it's an awesome card.
I like that.
Yeah, he's a guy that whenever I'm at a show or I'm online, he jumps out at me. Him, Darius Garland, LeBron James, and then I think that when we think about prospects, even though I'm eyeing the level up cards, I'm still the guy that goes through your $1 box or goes through your $2 box. And that's where I'm always seeing Trey Mann. And I'm not buying all of them. If it's a nice looking Trey Mann or a nice looking Bones Highland, I'm buying that. But when I get lucky and find a Jalen Green, that's pretty cool. You know, you might find Jalen Greens and Franz Wagner. Seems like people just don't know how good these guys are or how good they're going to be. If you're looking for like an obscure sleeper, I know people who know basketball recognize his name, and some people love Alperen Şengün. I don't love Alperen Şengün, but I don't hate him either. And when he's in somebody's quarter box and you can get rookie prisms or parallel prisms for 50 cents, that's what I'm starting to see. And like, he could be a starting center in Houston for a long time. And this is more of the budget flip, right?
Yeah.
I think he has potential. I think the other guy that, since I'm talking about Houston Rockets, I did Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, and I got to mention, if you're feeling risky or feel like rolling the dice, Kevin Porter Jr. You know, again, I'm not putting him in the category of anybody we've talked about yet, because earlier I said, hey, Ja is a playoff player. Anthony Edwards is a playoff player. Well, Kevin Porter Jr. may never make the playoffs, but he may be a 20-point a game scorer for the next 10 years.
These are great names to look at on the lower, like either in the, the $3 boxes or the, 99-cent boxes, wherever they may be. And I don't know, a lot of people like to go to ComC. A lot of people say ComC is kind of the virtual dollar box, if you will. So I love those names. I mean, Trey Mann, and Kevin Porter Jr. is a good sleeper. Anthony Simons, I don't want to gloss over that. You said Anthony Simons a minute ago, and he has gotten like rave reviews in our YouTube comments of past videos. So like videos that I put out back in like March or April that talked about, sleepers like Keldon Johnson. Like there are comments on those videos where I don't mention Anthony Simons. And like literally today, somebody commented like Anthony Simons, like, I'm all like, the commenter was like, I'm all over him. I'm buying this. I'm buying that. Anthony Simons. So a lot of opportunity. And Elperin Şengün is someone that, you mentioned like 3 or 4 really good second year guys that you're anticipating could make an impact. And he's one. He was a first round pick, but he was the Rockets like second or third first round pick last year. And
Right.
Kevin O'Connor on The Mismatch with Chris Vernon. It's a very popular basketball podcast, and Kevin O'Connor like loves Alperen Şengün, and like typically, and they have a big audience. So like when he latches onto a guy, it can maybe create some buzz, even though it's like a little bit of a joke. It's still like, okay, he could be a good player. Greeny Green's chiming in here with a couple of names.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes. I actually was at a Cavaliers-Knicks game in the winter, and Grimes came off the bench and made like 6 threes. And we're like, who is this guy? Maybe it was 4 threes, but it felt like 6. He's a rookie that the Knicks absolutely love. I think the Knicks are a fascinating team because some of these young prospects that I would say, man, if they get playing time, like if Emmanuel Quickly is going to start for somebody, I think his cards would be a great buy right now. But I don't know when he's going to get legit playing time. Same thing for Quentin Grimes. Like, I don't know what his role is going to be. I think the Knicks will probably still make some sort of deal. I kind of think they have to. And Paul, I was wondering about you with our Cameron Thomas focus. Like, part of that was I just assumed the Knicks were going to blow stuff up, make some deals, and Cam Thomas would get more playing time.
Yeah. So shout out to Greeny Green. This is a great call because Quentin Grimes, 25th overall pick last year, small forward shooting guard. Gary said he saw him play, lit it up in the preseason, right? And so that's
regular season.
Regular season. Okay.
Yeah.
Regular season. That's huge. So so I like the call of Quentin Grimes. I'll get to Cam Thomas in a second. Greeny Green also says Book Night in Charlotte. He was like a top 15 pick, I believe, last year. And I remember the draft analysts being high on him as a scorer. Yeah, I think like in the backcourt in Charlotte, it's going to be interesting to see what shakes out. And Book Night, this actually segues nicely into Gary's question about Cam Thomas. So Gary and I did this episode a few months back where I like proclaimed Cam Thomas the next Tyrese Maxey and Jordan Poole, right? And so everybody in the hobby sort of knows what I mean by that. Like, I'm not saying he's exactly that type of basketball player, but I think like in the hobby, he's a guy, late first round pick, competitive team, comes off the bench, but then eventually earns a starting role because he's a versatile point guard that can score and potentially play the 2. And so the reason why I'm avoiding Book Night, to Greeny Green's question, and I'm buying Cam Thomas is because for whatever reason, their prices don't really align. Like, you can get Cam Thomas still cheaper than James Book Night in a lot of cases. Not all cases. Don't quote me on all cases, but I'm just higher on Cam Thomas. And I actually still like Cam Thomas. I like Cam Thomas even more now that Kyrie and Durant are staying there, because I think he could slide into a Tyrese Maxey role. So like, Tyrese Maxey with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. Now Ben Simmons, like in the end of Tyrese Maxey's rookie year, he was playing with Simmons and Embiid. And so then obviously the Simmons thing happened, and then Maxey stepped up because he had a bigger role. I could see a similar situation in Brooklyn with Cam Thomas playing with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and then all of a sudden Irving is just, who knows what is ever going to happen with that guy.
Yeah.
And they're going to need Cam Thomas to I just think Cam Thomas is going to play his way into that. And with Durant on that, and that's what Maxey did. Nothing really happened that allowed Maxey to all of a sudden pop in like a Tom Brady did with Drew Bledsoe. Like it was Maxey played his way into that rotation. And I think Cam Thomas, out of everybody, has the game to play his way into the rotation in Brooklyn. And I could be wrong, but I'm just putting my money there because it's actually cheaper than like Bones and Book Knight and like some of these other sleeper guys like Chris Duarte. I would just rather have Cam. And so we'll see what happens. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to see what happens. I could be wrong, but I would love to be right. I would love to be right about this one. Not only because I've gone out there and like wrote a sports card investor article about it, put it all over nooffseason.com, put it all over Hoops and Cards and Basketball Card Strategy Show. Yeah. But I've got like 5 Cam Thomas contenders rookie ticket autos now. I should be getting them back from PSA pretty soon. So I'm pumped up and ready to go with Durant back in Brooklyn. So in the last few minutes here, Gary, let's talk about KD and LeBron, because these are still two of the biggest name guys in the league, still 2 of the top players, future Hall of Famers. And they've already won multiple titles, each of them. Last year, they were each expected to win their conferences and meet in the NBA Finals. Obviously, that didn't happen. Each of their seasons were kind of dumpster fires. And now we're in a situation where LeBron traded for Pat Bev, which I think is really cool. I think it's a sign that the Lakers are going to do some things to actually win some games this year and compete. Who knows if they'll make it back, to the NBA Finals. And then you've got KD coming back to Brooklyn. Let's give it a chance with Ben Simmons and Kyrie and everybody just in like a little bit of a stable environment there this year. I'm feeling actually pretty good about both the Lakers and the Nets. And as a result, have done a lot of research and put that out on each of their player profiles on No Offseason. I feel there's some amazing buying opportunities specifically for LeBron right now. It sounds like you're aligned with that, but what do you think about both LeBron and KD as your September buys?
Yeah. I like, just big picture, I like both of those guys as buys if you're going to hold stuff long term and if you're going to buy smart. Like I think with any of these players, we often talk about the rookie card or the hot, the popular cards, but with Durant and LeBron, you could buy just about anything that's a PSA 10 or just a cool looking card, especially a patch or a numbered card, and hold on to it and enjoy it for a while. As far as short term, like next 2 or 3 months, their rookie cards are still down. Just because it's the off season, I do think I agree wholeheartedly with you that the Lakers are going to try to make this a contending year. They have to, and they're going to make some sort of a move involving Russell Westbrook. They've got a couple other minor chips that they can trade. They don't need a whole lot. They just need the right pieces, a couple guys that can hit jumpers, around LeBron and AD. So I think they have a legit chance to make the playoffs, win a round, depending on how young LeBron acts and feels and how healthy AD is. I think that's as big a problem as anything. Anthony Davis never seems healthy. And to Durant, as far as Brooklyn being stable now, I don't buy it. Like, I don't buy that Kyrie is going to show up, at more than 40 or 50 games this year. Like, he's going to find a reason to just do Kyrie. And even if he doesn't, like, even if he plays, he could easily get hurt. I like what you said about Cam Thomas is going to play his way in. He has energy. And when I don't look at the current version of Kyrie or the other guys on Brooklyn as the youngest, quickest, most electrifying version of themselves. Like, Kyrie can do it on any given night, but he just doesn't. He chooses to turn it off sometimes. Cam Thomas will bring energy every time he's on the court. He's hungry. Yeah. He's younger. He's fast. He can score. He never met a shot he doesn't like. So, personally, I'm not excited about any Kyrie or any prediction involving Brooklyn going far in the playoffs. I'm more curious to see what Milwaukee does if they can stay healthy this year.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I can't quite wrap my mind around buying Durant myself, but I do think I do think that if, just because I just don't connect with him. Like I connect with Giannis. I connect with, a lot of other guys. I don't connect really with LeBron or Durant personally, but I think that they are great buying opportunities. So like as a sports card investment advisor, if you will, I do encourage people to go out and check into the pricing on some of the more investable cards for LeBron and KD and just see if it might be a fit for you. Because I do think, like Gary just said too, I mean, long term, they're probably smart plays. And I think if I had to pick between the two, I would definitely pick LeBron. Like if you forced me to buy one or the other, I would definitely pick LeBron. There's like a 2003 Fleer PSA 10 that's actually pretty achievable. I think it's down to around $700, $800 now, and it used to be 12 during the season. It was like 1,200. So to me, that seems like a no-brainer. We've got that listed at nooffseason.com in LeBron's profile, so check that out. But
and Paul, can I add something about buying these big names?
Yeah.
This summer, I have added a Giannis rookie and a LeBron rookie. And with both cards, there was this feeling of, hey, I just spent more on a card than I've spent on a card in a while. Or I'm just so glad I got a Giannis rookie. Like it's an iconic, I've been wanting that card. It's the NBA Hoops one that I think is on your logo or your, the NBA Hoops. Love it. I love having those cards. And at the same time, in both cases, I sold myself a little bit short. Meaning, if I had waited just a little bit longer, I could have gotten a better graded one. Like instead of a PSA 8, LeBron Topps rookie. Even though I got it when it was down, a guy gave me a great deal. I love having the card. Would I rather have a 9 at today's prices? Yes. Would I rather have a 10 of Giannis's NBA Hoops? Yes. So it's good to target cards, but don't just make getting that card the objective. You want to get the right card because not only with the cards that I just mentioned, but with a few others where I've just been excited to get that guy's card, it's harder to flip those. There's fewer options and there's like we got to think of a term for like the range. Maybe it's just the range of a card that's buying and selling right now. Like that Ja Morant Blue Velocity we looked at earlier. It could be selling between $300 and $500 over the last 2 or 3 months, right? You could say current comps range here. Well, the better card you get, the better the upside on that range. Like the PSA 10s of Anthony Edwards rookies, they go way up. Whereas the PSA 9s, even though sometimes 9s have a good return on investment, like I've made money on 9s. I like the 9s that I have, but sometimes their range goes like this. Or the number of people interested in them goes like this.
Totally. And I think they end up in like the slab boxes that at card shows for like $15 ultimately. Like, I mean, I think that's their floor, is that you're trying to get rid of it for $10 to $15 someday. And I do think that kind of sucks that happens to a PSA 9, but you're right. Like ultra modern PSA 9s just they have a very, very, very low ceiling.
Yep.
And when the player performs well, the real stock to own is the PSA 10, especially for ultra modern cards. Now, I mean, like LeBron, there's so many LeBron rookies because of the Upper Deck deal that he had. I feel like the Upper Deck thing just kind of ruined LeBron rookies in general, because I mean, really the Topps and the Fleer are the investable ones. And anything that even like a PSA 10 Upper Deck LeBron rookie doesn't really have the ceiling that the Fleer or the Topps. Now, Upper Deck, obviously like SP Authentic and the autos and stuff, those are different stratosphere. Those are like the high dollar cards. I'm talking about like the mass produced Upper Deck set where it's like an entire photo shoot of different variations of the same base card, but they're just like different photos. Those just aren't really worth anything. But so I think that from that 2003 LeBron rookie card, is more like what the ultra modern rookies are, where they better be a PSA 10 or else it's really not going to be worth much. So I think that's a good point. And I think you also made me think of something else that's very important. So often I talk about the investment strategy of literally just being able to pick one guy. Like if I liquidated my entire portfolio right now, and was able to get back into the game, one strategy I might choose is I'm just going to invest in literally only one player across all sports, just one player. And I'm going to do that for like the next 2 years. You can make money off of that just by following like the ebbs and flows of that one stock. So to your point earlier about like you got a LeBron PSA 8, you were happy with it, but then you noticed that if you would have waited 2 more months, you could have got the PSA 10 for less. I think that like, so play that out even farther. Like, let's say you continue to track the value of that one PSA 10 that you could have had. You continue to track the value of that card for the next 2 years. And you note, okay, during these time periods, it actually dipped below where I could have had it. So now that's an opportunity to buy it even better. But then you've got during these time periods is where it goes up in value, and it may not go up in value by the same amount each year, but it's going to go up in value based on the seasonality of the thing. I think you can pick a player like LeBron, like Giannis, like many of the other big names that are always relevant, and you can make money off of one player, one card, and just buying and selling at the right time. And I mean, that's may seem like a Captain Obvious statement, but I don't think anybody, like, name me one person comment, let us know if you're like one player, one card, I'm making money off of it over more than, a 6-month time frame. That's something I'm actually really intrigued to try at some point.
Mickey Mantle.
Mickey Mantle. We've talked about the Darius Garland, difference between a Mickey Mantle and a Darius Garland. But like we've talked about a Darius Garland silver prism PSA 10 as a card that you could just, I mean, if he suffers an injury, you could be screwed, or it could be like a great buying opportunity. And then you goes up, and I don't know. So that's the thought that you made me think of that.
Yeah. And that's the other idea I want to bounce off you later, maybe after the show, is kind of related to that, like just the seasonal buying in and out. Well, and the reason this is such a great opportunity, that's my wife calling. She has the sweet child of mine ringer. The reason this is so timely is because it is September, and after doing this for 2 or 3 years in a row, I know the market's different, and you do need to know, why is it up this time of year? Why was it down this time of year? Sometimes it's an injury or a circumstance or a trade, but sometimes it is just the seasonal thing. And when like last week, I saw some prices just on the guy I'm eyeing, Ja Morant cards. I'm like, those prices look strikingly similar to what they were 12 months ago.
Yep.
And I'm like, what the heck? Ja just had like an insanely awesome year, where if he had stayed healthy, he might have been in that MVP conversation even longer. Right. I also know what those cards did in January, February, and March. And so if I can get back in on Ja now and sell at the All-Star game, especially like a PSA 10, take the PSA 10, just his base card. You can get in on that now for between $175 and $225, right? $225.
Yep.
But look at what his base PSA 10 was. Card ladder, or right?
It was $300 for a few days, at least around a week. I sold mine for, I mean, a pop count of 22,000 on that card, and I sold it for $300 last like February, I think. I was super happy with that. I didn't. It was about what I paid for it, because I bought in at the height of it, which is a mistake that I made, but I was happy to get out of it for what I paid for it, and then learn the lesson of like, okay, like now, September 2022, I can buy it for $175 if I want to. Absolutely. All right. Well, anything else you want to add before we wrap up here, Gary? Great show. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, this is always fun, Paul, hanging out with you and these guys in the chat room talking cards. The thing about the Ja and the base cards, I know base is boring, but you just said it, like the pop count is high. when I'm going to Card Ladder lately or Sports Card Investor, I'm looking at how many sales have happened on that card in the last month or the last 3 months. Because
liquidity, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Because that makes me know, okay, if I buy this, it's almost like buying a gift card. Like it's going to retain value to somebody, especially if it's a big name and a PSA 10. It's right.
The reason I got back into sports card investing a couple years ago was solely because I saw it as, where else in the world can you buy something that's super fun, that gives you some bragging rights, gives you some reason to root for a guy, and then literally sell it whenever you want for, worst case scenario, a little bit less than what you paid for it. And in the meantime, you got a whole lot of entertainment value from it. Like it's for your soul and it's entertaining, and then you can sell it. So even if you lose money, even if you lose 50 to $100, I'm not saying that's not a big deal. That's probably a big deal to many of us, but it's still like, okay, but at the end of the day, like everything else that you would have bought in your entire life, you would have spent the $200, $300 on it and then not been able to do anything else with it. Like you're never going to get that money back. And so you can either enjoy the card, or you can enjoy the card for a little bit, have a story, have an experience. You can't like resell a vacation. You can't resell. There's so many different things that you can't resell, like the food that you ate, but like the sports card, like you can spend money on it and then you can enjoy it and then resell it. So that's what that's really one of the reasons why I got in huge, So great stuff. Thanks again, Gary, for joining. This is Gary from Hoops and Cards. I am Paul Hickey from nooffseason.com. And I want to let you know that you can get a free premium subscription at nooffseason.com for a year. And I want you to email Paul at nooffseason.com to find out how. So whether you're a current subscriber or whether you haven't upgraded, but you're familiar with the show and you're familiar with nooffseason.com, check it out. Go to the website, determine if you want to upgrade. And if you want to upgrade, email me at paul@nooffseason.com, and I will tell you how to get a free premium subscription for a year to nooffseason.com. Everybody, thanks so much for watching and listening to the Basketball Card Strategy Show, episode 5. Have a great day.